Last time on Critnet, the group convinced the Emperor to evacuate the city and relinquish his crown to the Silvered Shade, who was threatening the city in exchange for his ability to help his people escape. They all made their way outside, and with the help of Ghastgar's sound amplification, the city's residents were all soon making their way outside the city in a massive mob. Vall took this moment to raid the empty merchant stalls left in the wake of the crowd, to which he managed to get a handful of goodies, but more than that, managed to save a shocked woman's life by burning her stall to the ground and proving to her that her life is worth more than her goods. Ghastgar blasted the captain of the rising airship over its railing, and in the last moments, the Silvered Shade made it to the gate. I gotta get out of here.
Well, if we're gonna go in alphabetical, but not really, I think it's Lola.
Oh my god.
I'm Lola, also known as... Sorry. I'm Lola, Sorry, guys. I'm Lola, I'll play as Ellanya Omnithor.
I'm Chris Cornish, and I'm your audiomancer and friendly little mongoose friend, Ghastgar.
I'm Chris Ricks. I am your local bard, Parker Prax. Neither of those were true. Ooh.
Hi, I am Lola. I am Ellanya Omnithor.
And I'm Kruz. No, James ain't here because what the heck, James? He's late.
Yeah, having to do important stuff. Oh, come on.
Like pick his wife up from the airport and all, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's important other than that?
D&D.
He's got legs. She can walk.
And I am Sawyer Fisher, your DM for this adventure. Till we all die and everything goes to heck in about 5 minutes.
So if DM is usually for Dungeon Master, are you just diminutive midget?
Wow! How did you figure out my true name?
On the back of your, little sim glowing crystal.
You know those little tags that moms will sometimes, sew into their kids' clothes so when things get lost and they know how to return it? I mean, you're so short that people commonly confuse you for being a little kid still, despite the facial hair. Your mom just decided to make sure to go ahead and keep doing this and put in diminutive midget just to help everybody understand.
Cheers, Mom. Thanks for helping me out. Love ya. All right. Well, now with introductions out of the way, Ghastgar.
Yes, diminutive midget.
From above, you have now blasted over the edge this captain. Looking down, you can see not only him plummeting, but the Silvered Shade reaching the gate of the Rhine Metal District. As his hand grasps around the closed portcullis that is the entrance. Immediately, you hear the sound of muffled fracturing. You hear suddenly the buildings begin to sway. You hear their foundations begin to crack. You hear the metal begin to rend and bend. Park and Ellanya and Vall, you feel the stone beneath you begin to vibrate. Suddenly, glass panes around you begin to shatter, their pieces scattering into the streets. People below, civilians jumping out of the way as they slam onto the ground. Some of these pieces as long as 6 feet. And as this happens, Ghastgar, centered on the shade, the ground begins to give way, crumbling like a giant sand pit. You see stone and metal buildings falling into them, dropping into what is now a fracture beneath him. The shade floating above it, you see the fracture splintering out from beneath him, beginning to envelop the Rhine Metal District. You see the wall itself being left unharmed, but going and snaking just outside of it. Every brick that is even an inch beyond the wall is falling into this abyss that is now complete darkness. The rest of you hear from around the city, and Ghastgar, from the far right, you're also able to see just outside the wall of the city itself, you see ground begin to shift and warp and fall into itself. Similar to what is happening around the wall, it seems to be now happening around the entire city. What do you do?
I come back from looking at the edge, and I take a look right up at Silanara. What is the expression on his face?
A look of terror, realization, and of heartache as you see his eyes pass from the fracture to his people still trying to make their way out. It's seeing the fracture now splitting, going towards the massive droves of people exiting the one highway in and out of the city. You see him petrified.
Oh, what is his name again?
Xanadu Silanara.
I will say to him, Xanadu, now is not the time for passivity. You see this whole world literally crumbling around you. The world, this kingdom that you and your family have built up, and there's people who are going to die. That is inevitable. And you need to accept that fact and now move from your petrified state. I have taken care of one order of business that must be so that this world can even begin to heal, because any kind of leadership of that kind of nature that captain had cannot be allowed to continue. Now, are you going to mature past your naivety and current passivity and take command of this ship?
Dang! As those words are shouted at him, he looks down at you, looking at a mongoose who just slapped reality into his head harder than a freaking brick. He now looks up and sees all of the crewmen who have stopped manning their positions are now making their way towards you. Two of the guards up top have now begun to draw weapons and move towards you. A large third party now steps up from behind what you would have seen as the large steering mechanism that is on this airship, from about 7 to 10 feet behind it, from the very wall itself, where there's kind of swoops up and then down, of which most ships have. You see these two glowing purple eyes suddenly split, and a metallic figure step up out of the metal wall and begin to make his way, drawing also a weapon. The Silanara now looking at you and looking at them. You see him reach for his own weapon. Draw it. Alright. Hear me, all of you. This is my city. Your leader is fallen. Follow me and help me save the people of this city. There are innocent people down there. I don't care about the Reinhardts right now. Leave the district alone. Just help me get my people out as much as we can. This is a large ship. We can at least get in between the buildings before it falls. The glass seems to have already shouted out to them. The balloon should be safe. One of the guards looks over the edge very quickly and looks back. You've made a mistake, trying to cross our captain like that. Our commander would rather die than betray him. Please roll initiative.
Yep, figured this was coming.
And just a heads up for all of you. Yesterday, playing D&D, I had the worst luck of my life. And when I say that, I mean every word of it. I rolled as DM so many times. I would say the amount of times I rolled above a 10 was about 7%. And I rolled at least 60 times. So just a heads up, if tonight my dice come back to bite every one of you so hard that it decides to just start nat 20ing on everything, just know that's where it came from.
Did you just roll a nat 20?
No, I rolled a 2. That immediately reminded me.
Well, I rolled an 18 plus 4 for 22.
Then nothing has changed.
Good. You better daggum hope not, Elliot.
By the way, friends, we should all play Pathfinder with Sawyer as the DM. It's fun. He gets very frustrated.
22 total.
That's a nice number.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ghastgar, you move first, faster than any of the other ones. You draw. What do you do?
Free action to call out.
Okay.
Kruz, get back here as fast as you can and bring Jerry. Shoot out Jerry. If you would rather die, we can go ahead and fight to our deaths here if you so desire. But you know what happens when a fracture opens up. DM, what happens when a fracture opens up? Do flying demons come out? Do, like, hordes of creatures swarm the ground? Like, what happens? Are we actually safe up here in the air?
Well, in answer to that question, would come in the form of several dark figures now rising from where the fracture has now fallen and created itself a large fissure. You see creatures, winged creatures, now beginning to rise out from the fracture itself, and surmise that no, in the air is not a safe place to be.
So I'm gonna point that out real quick. Go, you can fight me and die, and then they're gonna kill you, or we can all work together to try to get out of here now, and then kill each other. How's that sound?
You see the larger Deodovan on the left looks up at the bronzed men who have now stepped in between the two. I don't think we're gonna have a problem killing you or those fracture beasts.
Thought you were gonna say that. And I level my gun and shoot the first one that I can in the face.
Take a shot.
How far away are they in general?
Right now they are 15 feet from you.
15 feet. Okay. I don't take disadvantage for that, right? Because we're not within melee.
Right.
Okay.
No, they're not. They're very much not within melee.
Yeah. And I'm doing my sharpshooter feat. Does a 19 hit?
A 19 does hit.
Okay. 15 damage.
15 damage.
And then my Eldritch Cannon does a Force Ballista attack as well.
All right, rolled it.
That is a 15.
15 does not hit.
All right.
Your first shot finds purchase just on the top right of his chest, going in and out the back. You realize that if that shot had been on the left side, he would have fallen immediately. The second Eldritch Blast, though, you shoot off the side of your shoulder into his chest, but the armor itself reflects most of the blow. And he looks at you, very close to being mortally wounded already.
So, you want to take me out? Come at me, I guess.
The Silanara, then having drawn his rapier, you see him twist the handle. The entire blade suddenly burst in electrical shock of energy, and he begins to run up to the one that you had not shot and attempts to make a strike on him. Finding purchase on the left side of his armor, he manages to sneak in ever so slightly, cutting in not too much, but just enough to make sure that he is now focused on him. Now, the enemies. Quickly, the one on the left that you shot closes the gap to you, Ghastgar. 7 does not hit you.
Nope.
Swings down, not used to trying to strike a mongoose. You manage to contort your body to avoid the blow.
I run between his legs.
Sneak between his legs as the one who is now fighting the Silanara with a 6 does not hit as he swings the Silanara, easily parrying it away. The bronzed man who is between the two of them turns to the Silanara who is next to him and manages to land a hit with a 25. You see the Silanara struck with a large blow as a cleaver-like weapon is brought to bear against his side. The Silanara, in his large robes, you see it cut through the robes, cutting a massive swath off of it. You see the Silanara shocked to the side as he does, taking a fairly significant hint to him. And you see underneath the robe was in fact armor. It seems as though he is always ready for a fight, whether or not he's sitting on his throne or actively in battle. With that, the battle has begun. Crews have been called to the deck of the airship, of which now you can hear fighting going on. Beneath you, the fracture has now split out and is now encompassing most of the Rhine Metal District. You see it is not taking down the walls themselves, but is rather just on the outside. And you see the buildings beginning to lean and move as if they are now sitting on sand. You are stuck between the airship and the ground. You see the Deodovan, who had actually been thrust off by Ghastgar, tumbling through the air. You see his appendages flay out immediately. And you see him begin to move, descending in a controlled fall down towards the ground. You see this flapping fabric in the in-between of his back.
Of course he's got slow fall. Of course.
It's not even slow fall, it's a parachute. It's the thing that he had that I made sure he had because he was on an airship. They all have basic parachutes.
If I would have had an opportunity to see that, I probably would have taken a shot at the parachute.
That's fine. The guards did their job and immediately took your attention off of him. That's the way I'm gonna retcon that one. That's the thing that hit me when I was sitting at my desk at work, was just like, wait, he has a parachute. Sorry. The Silvered Shade right now in front of the gates of the Rhine Metal District is floating above where the ground has now given way. You see on the other end of the gate, the portcullis, you see people gathering on the other side. You see them trying to lift the portcullis themselves, but cannot get the gate open as he stands there. Kruz, what are you doing?
Jerry, we gotta slow him down. We gotta distract him. We gotta stop this fracture from opening. Jerry, help me distract the Silvered Shade.
Wait, who has Jerry?
Kruz does. So you are flat out ignoring Ghastgar's request to come join the fight?
Imagine what's happening right now. There's rumbling going on like crazy. You're shouting at the top of your lungs. I'm in the air. I have wind blowing by my ears. I don't know if I can hear you.
You definitely can hear him by this point. You're halfway up in the in-between. Ghastgar has a very distinctive voice, and it can cut through practically anything.
Yeah, it can. All nasally and angry like. Especially when it's amplified through one of my little sphere things I have.
Yes.
So Ghastgar needs Magitech drives.
And Jerry. And you, frankly.
So do I help out Ghastgar or try to slow down the fracture from encompassing the whole city?
Good frickin' luck.
That's a good question. One of the many questions you are all going to be facing throughout the course of the night.
All right, Ghastgar, high or low?
High.
I guess I'm coming to help you.
Yeah!
Because it's also helping the people,
All right.
too.
That's where I was going with it.
I guess, Jerry, let's go help Ghastgar.
I imagine Jerry would have, flown off of you. Gonna go help Dad.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go help Dad.
While I'm flying, I'm going to slam a level 2 drive over the 6 drives I have into my sword hilt and convert my sword into axe, giving it an electricity bonus or a lightning bonus.
Perfect. You fly the rest of the way up then? It's going to take your movement.
Yep.
Okay, you fly up, you see one enemy,
Nice.
You see one of the Deodovan standing over Ghastgar. Ghastgar slipping in and out from between his legs. You see one Deodovan take a swing at the Silanara, parry the blow, and then you see the bronzed man. The same version or one that you had seen in your shop take a swing and suddenly smash into the side of the Silanara, almost knocking him over the edge of the ship. A burst of purplish electricity raking over his body.
Was he knocked towards me or away from me?
Kind of towards you as you're coming up over the edge of the ship.
I'm just going to tell Jerry to get the bronzeman. Jerry, go get the bronzeman.
Jerry leaps from inside the canister and is now summoned, splitting the area between you, Ghastgar, and the Deodovan fighting you. and the Deodovan and Bronzeman fighting the Silanara. He's now right in there in between of all of you.
And should Jerry and James or Kruz roll initiative so that we have...
I'd put him at the bottom of it, and then now he's technically at the top, first one to go on the second turn kind of thing. And with Jerry now there, Jerry will just go on his turn, just to keep it simple.
Okay.
So I'm on the edge of the ship. Who's in fighting range for me?
You have the Deodovan who is harrying the Silanara. He's close enough to the edge in order for you to take a swing at him.
All right, then I'm going to take a swing at him. Does a 16 hit?
16 meets armor class.
All right, so I need my D12 and a D6. All right, so that's 7 plus 5 and 2 5s for lightning damage. So grand total of 17 damage.
17 damage.
That's a really big axe hit.
Very good. Very good. You careen into the side of the Deodovan, sending him almost off his feet. He wasn't expecting this blow from an unknown assailant. Looking to you, he sees you now. You see beneath the metal of his armor now rent into his side. He winces, but then looks to you and then now sets his stance to take on both you and the Silanar at the same time. Now, with that, Ghastgar, it's up to you.
Okay. I am assuming I am now within melee range of the guy that I almost took out earlier.
Yes.
Okay. I am going to shoulder my hunting rifle and pull out my shadow glass dagger. Attempt to stab. Stabby, stabby.
Okay, roll to hit.
Does a 23 hit?
23 does hit.
Okay. So... And I will do the twist action with it as well. Where did the Caltrock die go? There it is. Okay, so 8 damage.
Okay. 8 damage. Stabbing it into the Deodovan, finding another weak spot in his armor. You see him wince. He fall to one knee, looking up at you, desperate now, realizing this is most likely about to be the end of his life. But it's not quite.
Eldritch Cannon Blast. 18.
18 does hit.
All right. 2d8. 8 more damage.
You see an opportunity with him going to his knee to finish him off.
Oh, my shoulder cannon just comes right up and blasts him straight in the face.
Point blank, he is finished. Most of him falling into Jerry now, and is seeming to be consumed by the fire.
And I turn to the rest of them saying, are you sure you want to continue, or do you want to get out?
Several of the workers who are now running towards you with various objects they have picked up along the way, a wrench, hammers, whatever it is, now stop, seeing now a fire elemental, and one of the guards now killed. They stop in their tracks. On the other side, right now, the Silanara attempts to strike at now the bronzed man, who is now stepped up to him. Taking the swing, his sword connects squarely with the side of the bronze man, but the sword itself was not thrust with enough force to actually break through or injure it. It lands, sparks off. With that, the bronze man looks down at you, Ghastgar, looks up at Jerry, and looks to the Silanara. Its orders clear, and takes a swing at the Silanara. Kruz, you having just seen the Silanara taking one hit, now bringing it back, the sword comes up once again, slamming into his side, this time knocking him into the guardrail, of which you hear his voice kind of like gurgling, like cough up, as a small spray of blood comes out of his mouth, and he looks battered. You can even tell from here that his armor is now rent from these 2 strikes. And the purple lightning shooting over his cloak has now left it singed and burning in places. The Deodovan, who then tries to strike at him, misses. But with the Silanara injured, laying against the railing, trying to catch his feet, Parker, Ellanya, you two. The ground shakes beneath you, the glass comes shattering down, the people fleeing for their lives, dodging these obstacles and running to the side. You, in the distance, hear this large explosion from the airship that is circling around the Rhinemetal district that echoes through most of the air. And then you see them. Looking up, you see coming over the walls these creatures, droves of them. You see the ground on either side of the highway running in and out of Hopel. You see the ground fall down. Some people just on the outskirts suddenly falling as their legs buckle as the ground beneath them turns to quicksand and they fall helplessly into whatever depths lead into the fracture of the world. There is still an avenue as it seems as though the fracture has stopped at either side of it. People now scrambling to try to stay within the road. So many people, they're jarring and pushing one another, trying not to fall off. And you see above you several creatures. You see one of the first ones, a large, slithering, worm-like creature with 6 wings. At first, it looks like an earthworm, but at the front of it, you see this large maw that, as you look into it, has these rows of ringed teeth going down inside of it. You see it suddenly slip down into the crowd of people, slamming down as it does, throwing some people, and then trying to bite at one person running by. What do you do?
Oh yeah, no, I'm going after it before it starts attacking anybody else. Can I call lightning and strike it? That was a 1. So plus 7's 8.
Critical gambit.
Oh,
Critical gambit.
Oh man.
Oh!
okay, fine. I'll do it. I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Yes.
Okay. Just to recap, anything that fails the check, aka fails to hit this creature or is a odd number, automatically fails. Please roll your die.
It's a 1 again!
No!
Well, bye-bye, Lola. It was nice having Ellanya on the show.
Double
I'm
nat
pretty sure
one.
you just died.
Oh,
Did the lightning strike just come straight down on top of her? It was like, is that the result here?
please roll one more time, just because I have to know.
Critical gambit, the gambit.
It's a 9!
You are not catching a break.
Okay.
9 plus 7 is 16. What's the AC?
Okay. So, Ellanya, this creature, you have not seen this creature in the fracture. As it slams into the people, you see them thrown, you feel anger, you feel frustration, you feel terror, all of these wrapped into one. You raise your hands, everything above you all turns black as a cloud forms 100 feet over all of you. And from it, you see a crackling streak of lightning come flying down. Please roll damage.
So 3 plus 7 is 10.
10. The strike and force of the lightning flies down, strikes the roof of a building nearby. Splitting through most of the wall, it arcs down and then spits out through the door that is at the base of it. And the rest of the building begins to crumble. And as it crumbles, it begins to fall into the massive droves of people running through and running by. and many of them attempting to jump out of the way do not make it in time to avoid a building collapsing upon them. The people not allowed a moment's rest, especially not with a creature of this size and danger in front of them. The people just continue to run up and now over the rubble, clambering over it and continuing on as fast as they can.
Welcome to the murder club.
Parker, it is up to you.
For the winged monster, is there any civilians or anything nearby that I can put myself between?
Yes, there are several who have stopped just in front of it as it has reared back and looks like it is about to almost viper strike into them.
I'm going to put myself between them, and I will then Eldritch Blast this thing.
Okay. Throwing yourself in between, please roll to hit.
12 on the die, plus 8 is 20 to hit.
20 does hit. Please roll damage.
So, yeah, 24 damage.
Jeez!
Nice.
Is this both strikes?
Yes. As I put myself between the civilians and this creature, I square off. And I hold out my hand.
And he sneezes
Every session.
on it.
Every session, Sawyer has to make sure he peaks audacity.
He sneezes on it and he kills it from an unknown virus.
I'm sorry, that was bad.
And with the nearby dust and debris, Parker sneezes. And as he does so, an Eldritch Blast shoots out.
That's one heck of a snot rocket, my man.
The opposite direction, killing another civilian.
And now you have to keep that in and use that as the fucking audio.
I have a heyday because Parker sneezes at much higher pitches than Sawyer does.
Are your D&D games feeling stale, plain, or downright boring? Upgrade them today with beautiful landscapes, terrifying dungeons, wholesome inns, and vast forests. Draw your players into your own personal fantasy world with Arkenforge. Arkenforge.com provides hundreds of preloaded items for you to mix and match to fully customize your worlds. Use promo code CRITNIT to get $5 off your purchase today. That's CRITNIT. CRITNIT.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Cornish, your audiomancer for CritNit. I just want to take a little time out to ask you to do a couple of things for us. Find us on Twitter and follow us if you haven't already. We are at crit_n_it. Also, if you could please leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Google Podcasts or wherever else that you find us, it would help other people find us and get the story out to others. And speaking of the story, let's hop back into it.
Parker, the creature, hole in its head, falls flat beside you. Everyone now, jumping beside you and looking at it, trying to work their way around it, but it seems to have stopped moving. You see more of them now beginning to descend upon the people, but none of them have reached it quite yet. Vall, you right now, with your friends, the Half Moon Sellswords, having now gained quite a few new items and begun to now set fire to several other things. What do?
Well, I think that for the moment, we're all moving between Sten. And Sten's giving us the actual layout of where we're going.
The large Goliath standing high above the rest of you, above most other things as well, giving his orders easily.
Other than that, yeah, things have gotten pretty real here, so I think this will be the last fires we set, and we're going to start hustling out of the city.
Okay. Throwing the last of the tinder upon two of the large piles, Sten yells, "That's enough! Time to get out!" And begins to make his way out.
And I follow right after him, and I assume all my sellswords follow after me.
Yes, Button, Sutanine, Gerdon, Liena, Scorpio, Solomon, Sten, and Tumblebrook all begin to follow, tightly knit at this time, making sure that one another is not lost in the up-and-coming massive mass of humanoid kind that they are coming to.
Actually, yeah. Since we're about to start hustling, I will expend a use from one of my second level drives to put long. I can't talk either. Thanks, Sawyer.
Elliot can't talk!
Ellie can't talk.
I will move up to my commander and just go. We should not stay here any longer than we should, Commander. And I know you are the slowest amongst us with your choice of armor.
You know it, Vall.
Well, luckily for you, I've been practicing my doodles. So here's a doodle for you and a doodle for me. And he receives long strider.
You see him kind of like lurch forward. You see the top half of him, which has most of the armor, kind of like bend back as it seems like his legs are now like mind of their own, carrying him faster than the rest of him. Whoa, whoa. I do not like this.
Yes, well, we don't like making accommodations for anyone. So keep up, Commander.
You see him begin to pass button. And you're like, whoa. I could get used to this, though.
The first one is free. The rest of them, we're looking at, I don't know, maybe 600, 800 credits a pop.
You know how to do business. And you all taking off down at triple moves, every one of you, flying through the streets of Hopel, leaving a black and burning pile behind you. Kruz. The Silinar has now been struck. You see to your left, creatures now beginning to descend on the general populace, fleeing through the city. The fracture has made its completion of the horseshoe, and below you, you see the Rhinemetal district begin to fall in on itself entirely. You see the Sun Metal estate crack at its base and begin to fall as one large, almost like pillar in the middle of the district, the building taller than all the other buildings, this beacon of red and gold metal falling in the center of it all. And then in a blinding blue flash, suddenly, it's gone.
Kruz is going to take a swing at that Deodovan, and he's going to put a little extra oomph into this one.
Okay, roll to hit.
That's a 19.
19 does hit.
That's 6 plus 4. That's 6 plus 8, so 14 damage. 8 of that being lightning damage.
You see an opportunity to finish this Deodovan off.
Oh, I'm going to bury my axe directly into his chest, kind of electrocuting him as he's going.
Sparks flicking off of his metallic armor as he falls to the ground. His sword falling, rolling from his hand. The only quarry left on the ship seeming to be the bronzed man before you. Jerry.
Okay. So, yeah. Jerry is absolutely enraged that his friends are being attacked by these people. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't care. They're attacking his friends. And I imagine that his attack is by touching them. And I imagine that he just straight up, like, massive flame slaps everybody. Now, he makes 2 touch attacks. Okay, 18?
18 does hit.
Okay.
Jerry swings back, slamming into the bronzed man. As his fist hits, you suddenly see Jerry try to reef back. You see his fires almost stopped inside the bronze man. And as he pulls off his hand, you see the flames on his chest suddenly absorbed into the metal itself. The purple eyes of the bronze man suddenly beginning to glow a little bit more yellow.
Okay. Jerry does not attack him on this next one, but whoever the next one that is not the bronze man that is within reach.
The 2 guards are now dead, and there are workers left.
Oh, it's just the bronze man that we're fighting left?
Burn the ship. Burn the ship.
Okay, yeah. Actually, this is a thought that Ghastgar has had. Can Ghastgar make a speech action here?
Sure.
Jerry, that didn't look like very good. You can't attack him. You can attack the ship. Everybody, I'll burn the ship to the ground. How do you feel about that? Stop fighting!
They all look at each other, of which, again, they have all now dropped their hammers and their wrenches and are looking at each other like, hey, we're not fighting over here. Although two of them do look confusedly down at the ground as the ship is made out of metal. And how you're going to necessarily burn it down is not entirely clear. But
they don't need to worry about that. I've got a fire elemental.
hence one of the reasons they have, again, dropped all of their quote-unquote weapons, and are just like, whoa, now, man, hey. We're not doing nothing.
Tell your robot to back off.
We can't. We're not the ones in charge of it. That was only Commander Deathden. We can't tell him what to do.
Do I recognize the name?
Commander Deathden. Yes, you would recognize the name as indeed the leader of the Dagum Deodovan.
Oh, did I blast him off the ship? Fantastic. Jerry, defend the fighting zone.
Jerry floofs off and starts to circle the ship.
Maybe like being I would say a blockade between the crew and us.
Okay. Slipping over, you see him expand to encompass most of the area. Most of the workers now stepping back as fast as they can and just leaving themselves as far as they can from this now fire elemental, which none of them have ever seen before.
Okay, that's Jerry.
Okay. Ghastgar, it's up to you.
Okay. Am I considered in melee with the thing?
Nope.
Okay, so I can take a step back and shots fired at it?
Yep.
Okay. So I would like to position myself into a spot where I am not going to have any of my friends in danger and make a shot, again, using my sharpshooter feat. How does a 21 sound to you?
21 does hit.
All right. 19.
All right.
And then my Eldritch Cannon goes boom as well.
Okay, roll to hit.
Oh, that's going to be a 7. That's not going to hit.
Okay. When you slipped into the oxen prior, you noticed where one of the hinges was exceptionally weak on the Deodovan creations. Aiming for that, supposing it'd be in the same place on this, indeed, your shot finds right beneath where the neck kind of connects to the rest of the body. The metal tears open, revealing a little bit of the inner mechanisms of these creatures, dealing significant structural damage to it.
I pay no attention to that as much. I take note of it, and I take a quick look down at Swiss. I'm going to have to recalibrate you.
It's funny that when you say that, it looks at you, but when it's looking at you, its gun is pointing on the opposite end of it. So, may have been a small miscalculation in when it came out this time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the Silanara.
Oh, action to talk. Oh, but, okay, James isn't here.
Everyone start rolling d8s. Starting with Kruz, that's a 1.
4.
That's a 2, so 6.
3.
9,
5.
12. 20,
7,
25, 27, 22, 24.
I'm at approximately 45. 50.
Okay. And with that, Kruz is dead.
right.
Now let's move over to Riggs, and then
No,
now
we
just
don't.
continuing on.
Kruz has 89 hit points, remember?
Oh, he does? Oh, continue on with that. Okay, 4. Okay, that's an extra 10, so that's a 98. He's toast.
I raid his unconscious body for magic tech drives.
Well, I mean, he just plummeted to his death, actually, because he wasn't even on the ship at this point.
Oh, come on.
He's still, like, on the railing.
He doesn't stand with a sickening crunch so much as a heart-wrenching crunch because you know he landed on his car keys.
Ah!
Oh.
You know, that would be a way that Kruz goes out,
No.
landing on
his
his car
precious
keys.
shop keys.
Oh, his shop keys, of which there's, like, 100 of them.
Ah,
He, like, made all of them.
Which they were also in the same pocket as the Magitech drives.
Oh. The magic explosion.
Ow. Dadgummit, I'd switch to Ellanya and Parker, but one of them is missing too, and Vall, you're just running through the daggum city.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. Hey!
Do.
sit down.
You're good. You're good.
I'm having responsibilities, Jack. As
Sit down. Just kidding.
All Ghastgar is going to be doing is asking Kruz for magic check drives.
Okay. I will say my luck has improved ever so slightly as I have rolled at least 118 today, Elliot. Everything else has been 10 and below, but at least I rolled an 18.
that's nice.
You're speaking to the choir over here.
I know, that was rough. That is rough.
2 nat ones. That's nice.
Okay. The Silanara, right now, having been bruised and battered, will now try to steady himself and strike the bronze man. Of which he does so, actually. Dealing 12 damage.
Yeah, big hit.
You see the fire suddenly begin to kind of flicker out from the now bent and split metal along the side of the bronze man, and it turns to him. The Silanara by this point is looking extraordinarily rough, but has enough in him to deflect the incoming blow from the bronze man, who then his sword, of which you would now notice flames flickering up and down the blade, intermixing with the electricity, slams into the very deck of the ship, splitting and digging about 3 inches deep into the actual metal itself. If that blow had connected, Xanadu Silanara would probably have died. It's in that moment that once again, him looking into what would be almost the face of death, he stands, trying to defend, inspired by the voice of one mongoose.
Did I actually give inspiration to the Silanara?
Yes, you did.
Yeah!
I was inspired.
Parker, Ellanya, down below where you are fighting right now, another thing. From behind you hear shouts, and these commanding shouts. You see both Vall, with a large group of similarly dressed people around him, but beyond that, Ellanya and Parker both, you recognize the shouting of one. Come on, they're coming over here. You two, shut up that side. I want all of you laughter right there in the middle. Sigwin, I don't care what you have to say. You're going up in front. As the guild members of the Guild of Hopel now descend upon the fleeing masses, you see them beginning to interlace themselves. Several more of these wormed creatures landing just in time to catch an axe or a sword. Suddenly, arrows and bolts are beginning to fly from the ground as all of them taking back their crossbows and their bows and aiming them to the sky. You see, beside you two in particular, a familiar small halfling comes running up.
Hey guys, what the heck is going on? Because there's a lot of people, a lot of things I don't see a lot. Is there anything I should be doing?
As Medina Happy has joined at your side.
Yeah.
I'll look down at Medina.
Medina, we must protect the people. The fracture's opening up, and creatures are emerging.
That's not a good thing. Now, you say protect the people. I can't see over anybody by this point. Can you point me in a general direction of the nearest thing I can kill?
Parker looks around.
Okay, Parker, looking around, you see something large now. Amongst all of the various flying maws that are kind of beginning to take over the airspace, you see 3 large winged creatures with these long lion-like bodies and these beaks and heads of eagles now flying through. You would recognize these from the tales of old. Hippogriffs. You see one of them suddenly grab one of the guards along the wall, throw him off of it, and as he plummets down, you imagine that he did not survive the impact. But there was only 2 hippogriffs. The third one is now landing right on the body of the gaping maw that you had just killed. Is a creature. Its tail curls back and looks at you. Its fang maw hissing as it does. You see the horizontal eyes of the goat head turn to you. You see the lion head lower and you see the dragon head begin to have flames spit through its sharpened teeth as it growls at you. You would have heard of these creatures as well.
I'll look at it.
Uh-huh.
I'll look back at Merdina.
Okay.
Will that do?
She looks at you, looks at it, looks at you, looks at it, looks at you, looks at it, looks at you, looks at it. Yeah, that'll do! And she runs right up to it, axe now brought up behind her head. It's dragging along the ground behind her as she does, and then she brings it down to try to hit the creature. And she hits the creature! Jeez!
You roll a nat 20? Kill it!
Well, with a 19 plus 6, 25, she hits with a 10 on the D12, dealing 16 damage in one strike, just right to this thing's head.
You're going down. You're mine. I'm gonna kill you now.
Ellanya, what are you doing?
So Ellanya is pissed at this point. So I am going to conjure elemental, and I'm going to conjure an earth elemental.
Okay. The ground beneath you begins to roil and move. The bricks suddenly turning into sand. Some of them coming up, some of them becoming clumps of rock as this elemental rises from beneath the ground just to your left, awaiting your command. Very Jerry-like, just made out of rock. Its crescent eyes looking at you in a smile.
Is there any, enemies nearby that I see?
There's the Chimera that's right there that looks like it's just got hit by Merdina, but is, it looks nasty.
I'm gonna look at it and say, Fluffy, do your worst.
I'm sorry, Fluffy? We have Fluffy the Earth Elemental, Jerry the Fire Elemental. Goodness, I can't wait for the other two. Well, making its way immediately, flying towards it. Please roll its attacks against it.
That is a 19, so that is gonna be a 27 to hit.
27 hits.
Ha! That is gonna be a 9.
Plus the 5?
Yep. I got 3 to 1.
Jeez. Ouch. Okay. He comes up, slamming into this creature. It also has multi-attack, so it does this twice, just by the way.
10-foot reach. Oh, God.
Plus 8, so 19.
19 does it.
Okay, and then the 2 d8s?
Plus 5, yes.
That is going to be a 17.
17!
I love Fluffy!
Fluffy comes up, one fist slamming into its chin of the lion head snapping back, the dragon head whipping towards it, growling, right as Fluffy brings the other fist down on the dragon head and just smashes it into the ground, the goat head looking over, stunned. Meh! No! Meh! Yeah, no, it's terrified. Okay, with that, Parker, it's your move.
I'm gonna shout out to Merdina. Medina, where's Aggie and Blow Dots?
Blow darts.
My name is Dunma Isgarata Dilatan!
You hear just from the ether. She looks back at you, kind of blood now covering some of her face.
Oh, they're coming. They should be right behind me. Don't worry about it. They'll be here in a second.
As I look back, and how far away are they from us?
30 feet, and you see Agi is ticked. You see her dead eye looking right at Merdina and is just running directly towards her.
And as they approach, I want to shout out, we need to make a line between the people and the fracture.
As Agi is passing you, you do see one of her eyes, just one of them, move over to you and almost do a nod. But the other one is still focused right on Merdina, like first things first. But as Dunma runs by you as well, don't worry, I'll make sure she gets it through her head.
Thanks, Blow Dots.
It's Dunma! It's Gratan Dilatan!
It continues on.
I guess that Those are free actions, I guess. Is there anything?
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, by this point, talking for any amount of time is a free action.
Is there anything for Parker to do? Are there people to save, things to blast?
For the time being, it looks like the Chimera's tail is about to start biting the head off of a woman as she's running by. So it seems as though the Chimera is the first and foremost threat right now, as it is still in the middle of this sea of people running around it.
A Chimera or a Hippogriff?
Chimera. You saw the hippogriffs up in the air. The Chimera is what came down and landed.
Okay. I guess from a distance, I will help out Merdina, and I will Eldritch Blast. Yeah, 23 to hit.
23 does hit.
11 on the first, 7 on the sixth, so 18 total.
Ease. Okay. Blasting one head, blasting the other. This time hitting... Wait, do you hit the goat head?
The one that's going to bite the lady?
No, that's the snake.
Ooh, no, the one that was endangering the people. It was a snake head. Actually, hold on, Sawyer. I have 2 beams. I'm gonna shoot both.
The first burst of energy flying past, running down the length of its back, smashing into the head that was the snake snapping back. You see where it was about to bite the woman, now off trajectory, snaps in front of her face. She drops to the ground, trying to avoid it. It misses her. She scrambles up and continues on. The goat head looks back, and then looks back right as it takes its own blast right to the face and just snaps back. With that, it comes down to the Chimera. Right now, looking down at Merdina, it will make its attacks.
The look of the DM as he murders his own NPCs.
8, 15, 23, 35 points of damage. As all 3 strikes land on Merdina, the ram's head smashing her to the side, the lion biting just long enough for the dragon head to blow fire right into her face and kind of push her back. You see Merdina stumble backwards, using her large axe to kind of catch herself.
But that wasn't very nice of you. Let me remove those for you.
And then try to go back into seeming to not have died in one shot by very little. Very little. Kruz.
Kruz, I need magic tech drives.
Who's still around us? I believe, is everybody stopped fighting, or is the Bronzeman still wreaking havoc?
The Bronzeman is just about killed the Silanara in one swing.
Nobody else is fighting. We've killed the only other 2 combatants on the ship, and the others are willing to surrender, but the Bronze Man is not something to be reasoned with.
I'm going to take a whack at the Bronzeman and then use a bonus action to just reach into my pocket and throw drives at Ghastgar. Not even going to look at what they are.
Dexterity check to catch?
Simple enough. 2 first levels and 4 cantrip drives.
Cantrip drives.
They're not that big.
Does a 16 hit?
16 does not hit.
Then I swing and a miss.
Okay.
I'm going to use my action surge to swing again.
Okay.
Does a nat 20 hit?
Natural 20 does hit. Crit hit!
So technically, that's a 20. Hold on, let me look. 4.
24 does not hit.
Okay, that's 12 on damage. Plus 10. A 6 and a 4. That's 22.
Okay. Oh, whoa. That's the wrong thing.
And that's 10 lightning damage onto him. I have 1 more use of my drive for lightning damage, and then my sword converts back to a sword and shield. Or my axe converts back to sword and shield.
Okay. You slam into this thing, and as you do, the fire and electricity within it is beginning to spark out of it now. The eyes are beginning to flicker black to yellow as it looks like it's beginning to malfunction. Ghastgar.
I take another shot at it.
Okay, rolled it.
Oh, wait, I can still move, right?
Technically, yes.
I'm going to move in front of the Silanara and put myself in between him and the Bronzeman.
Okay.
Okay. I missed with my gun. I rolled a 5 plus 8. I'm sure that does not hit.
5 plus 8 does not hit.
Yeah. But then I look down at Swiss. You need to hit.
It like squeaks at you? Mechanical squeaks?
Oh, it certainly misses as well with an 8.
You see it fire, and the Eldritch Blast goes through Jerry's fire and just like disappears on the other side. You hear someone. Probably didn't hit them, but probably scared them.
We both need calibrated.
It shakes its head at you.
Oh, actually, question.
Answer?
Attack rolls, do they count as ability checks?
No.
No.
Separate things. Okay. Now, the Silanara. You see, Kruz, as you stand in front of the Silanara take a stance beside you. Sword raised. In his weakened state, however, as he swings, the sword that he grasps hits the armor and it sparks off of it, dealing no damage. Looking at you and looking at it, you see that he is severely injured, and a hit like that should have dealt damage, but he cannot muster the strength to do it. Which then leads to the bronzed man. He swings, the bronzed man. Kruz, he moves to your left to get a better angle on the Silanara. As he swings, the sword careens into the Silanara's sword, of which he has put it up, but the sword does not have the strength behind it. Thrust back into him, you see that Silanara's sword is smashed into his chest, the sword flying out of his hand and over the side of the ship, as the Silanara is himself thrust onto the railing of the ship and falls over.
And that is where we leave off for this episode. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and remember, never stop telling stories.